Hey everybody, Clint with Alternative Athletics, and we're going to work on the 5 tenets that I view on fitness, wellness that are the most important. For most of our clientele here at the gym, working out is actually the bottom of the list. And what got me started on this is we're running a fitness challenge where we can pick one thing and we're going to try and work on that through the holiday season. So we're saying from the middle of November all the way through the end of January. And the one I want to talk about today is sleep. All right. Sleep is so important and something that we really struggle with in the US. And I think there is a lot of factors to that. But if you are working out and if you have a high stress situation at work, sleep is the time that we recover. Sleep is when our cells get to clean themselves out, when our brain gets to take a chance to save memories, and basically there's a whole cleansing process that washes through the brain and gets to take all the toxins out, which is why if you go into sleep deprivation, which is something that a lot of people who have dealt with the military before will recognize, you actually enter into a toxic state that is very comparable to inebriation of alcohol. So a lot of the metrics on the chart line up really similar. All right, so the first thing with sleep, which we live in a time that is very rare in that we have the ability to track what we're doing very easily. So, knowledge. Now, with this, not everything works for everybody, all right? Some people can't sleep with a watch on. In the past, I have used my cell phone next to my bed as a way to track sleep cycles based on how I was breathing. And I don't know if that's the most effective or having the heartbeat on your wrist with your watch is better. But everybody I know that's ever taken a sleep study said the hardest part was falling asleep because you had everything attached to you all at the same time. Right now, there's a lot of options, and just getting knowledge of how you're sleeping and how many sleep cycles you're getting is really important. The average person needs 35 sleep cycles per week, per 7 days. So divided by 7 days. Not all of us have the ability to have a set routine where we can do everything. I have shift workers, whether that's medical doctors, refinery workers. You know, there's a lot of different things out there where your sleep schedule is not determined by you. However, if you can, within that 7-week window, get 35 cycles, you're going to be better off, and you're not going to be fighting as much sleep deprivation. Secondly, not everybody's sleep cycles are the same. Most people are 90 minutes. But without this knowledge, without this tracking, you're not going to know what works for you. For my wife, it takes her longer to get into her first sleep cycle. So that first sleep cycle is definitely over 90 minutes. Another great one. I was talking to a member of the gym the other day. We were talking about sleep, how sleep affects your workout, your recovery from your workout, cortisol levels, which then leads to gaining weight, which is what they were trying to work on. And he was like, hey, I didn't work out yesterday, but my sleep score was trash. So the first thing that came out of my mouth, and I cheated because I knew that the day before they were in a social league, so whether you're bowling, shooting pool, darts, whatever, there's generally a drinking component with these league events. And that's totally understandable, but realize what they do. And he said, yeah, but I only had 3 beers. Okay, so with that situation, your body is going to be dealing with that toxin just as if you had had a hard workout. And because you are having to process that poison out of your body, your ability to sleep is not as good. Do you stay under, like do you not wake up? Yeah, absolutely. We've all done it. Had a couple of glasses of wine with dinner, felt like you slept great, wake up the next day, and you feel like trash. It's not a hangover. It's just that your body hasn't had the chance to recover, process everything out that it normally does. All right, the other thing I want to talk about is sleep hygiene. And this one, I'm going to spell this wrong. It's probably this one. I'm going to go with my dyslexia and reverse those. Hygiene is a big word. It's a medical word. Makes us think that sleep is dirty. Instead, I want you to kind of use that word and think about distractions while you're sleeping, all right? So I like to sleep with my or I should change that. I like to have the windows open in my bedroom. However, once I go to sleep, and I have a lot of plants in my bedroom, so they need the light anyways, the street lights come into my bedroom. So if I don't make the effort to close the curtains, I have bright lights on me at night. This is obviously something that we're not used to, and the darker you can make your room, the better. That being said, if your sleep schedule is different than your partner's sleep schedule, and you might have to get up before them, and you turn the lights on because the room is so dark, then you're waking them up. That's not polite. So you got to find what works for you, possibly using a sleeping mask that blacks out the light, or if you do sleep by yourself, try and get that room as dark as possible. Dogs. I'm a big fan of dogs. Having a dog on the bed that's kicking you in the legs, or it's getting up and moving around, if that's waking you up or pulling you out of a deep sleep cycle when you are in the middle of one, and so you kind of get like a zombie effect where it wakes you up and your rhythms are off, that can be something to think about too. All right, and then the same thing, sleeping with a partner, they roll over in bed, they snore, they're sick and they cough. It's not available to everybody, but if you have the ability to sleep in separate rooms, it might improve your sleep quality. All right, the other thing I want to talk about is how you wake up. All right, and a big thing of whether you get 3 sleep cycles that night, you get 2 sleep cycles that night, or you only get 1 sleep cycle. Once you get your sleep cycle dialed in, especially that first one and that second one and the third one, and you know how they work for you, being able to time your wake up to where you are in your sleep cycle can make the time you got more effective. So if you have a tendency to sleep through a lot of alarms, generally that's an indication that you're not timing when you wake up to your sleep cycle. All right. There's a lot of modern solutions to this that are great. There are alarms that you can set a window, generally a half-hour window or an hour window, and say, I want to wake up between this time and this time, but whenever I hit a light sleep cycle and I'm able to come out and feel refreshed, wake me up at that time. What I have set up for myself personally, my wife and I, we sleep in separate rooms just because we have different schedules, and what I use is I have a light system set up to slowly get brighter in the room, just like the sun rising. But for me, to open up the gym at 5:30, I gotta get up at 4:30. So 4:30 in the morning, whether it's the middle of January or whatever time of year it is, my lights will slowly come on. And as I hit the end of that deep cycle and I start coming into the light cycle, that is enough to wake me up. Now, do I set up a backup alarm that says, hey, if you don't get up by this time, you gotta hustle and go? Yeah, absolutely. But 9 times out of 10, I don't hear that alarm. I'm up before that alarm and rocking and rolling. For those of you that wake up before your alarm, you've probably got your sleep cycles dialed in. All right, next we're gonna move on to mobility, but live well, be strong.